Okay. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you all to the Tuesday, January 10th meeting of the Advisory Committee for the Department of Culture and Tourism. Chantal, would you like to start with the rules?
Sure will. As a preliminary matter, this is Chantal Blois Murphy, Director of Culture and Tourism. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Excuse me. Mary Malaves.
Here.
Liz Holland. Here. Matt Peel.
Here.
Niles Parker.
Here.
Peter Morrison.
Peter was. Peter, on mute.
Peter, if you're there, we can't hear you. Okay, we'll come back to you. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. David Sharp.
Here.
And Chantal's here. We have no anticipated speakers this morning. So this open meeting of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting, I don't see any members of the public, so it will likely not feature public comment. For this meeting, VSAC is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website. Unless otherwise noted, the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the, we can go to the first item on the agenda. And I'll hand it over to you guys.
I'm here. This is Peter Morrison.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
Good morning. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
I want to welcome all the members that are here. Hopefully everyone had a delightful end of the year and a beginning of the new year. I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us in the next few months. We did not meet in December because of a scheduling issue. So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention. We've sort of lost a planning month, but doesn't mean that the committee isn't planning. I think that's what we do all winter. Second item on the agenda is the approval of the November 8th minutes. You have all received copies with today's agenda. Are there any changes to the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written. And I believe this has to be done by roll call, correct? Okay, no one's answering me.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay, thank you, that's what I thought. Okay, all in favor, Liz Holland?
Approve.
Niles Parker,
Aye.
Matt Peel,
Aye.
Peter Morrison,
Aye.
and I myself, Mary Malaves, except as written. There were some items in the minutes. It was a pretty lengthy minutes because it was sort of one of our first really good planning sessions. A lot of the things that we discussed in those minutes, hopefully you can go back and reread and bring us suggestions for February, March, and into the spring. We had suggested several speakers. I know Chantal and David are probably working on that behind the scenes, and we'll probably hear more about that today. So, moving right along, Chantal, your director's report.
Thank you. I can keep it pretty short and sweet. December was an interesting month, to say the least. Started off with Christmas Stroll weekend, where we had a host of stranded passengers, as we all know, and read about at length over the following weeks. And that was a very eye-opening experience, and really was very helpful for helping us gather all of the necessary parties to really discuss the stranded passengers protocol that Liz has been working so hard on. It was really, despite the unfortunate situation, there was some positive that came out of it, in that it boosted people along and really showed that we really needed the protocol and the support for it. So we're still chugging away at that. Liz and I met, we gathered a group of interested parties to discuss it at length. We walked away with a lot of questions that we've been working on getting answers to. One of them being creating a communications plan that Liz and I met after that meeting and discussed at length. And I think we have a pretty good plan prepared. We also, in my conversation with Barry Rector, who leads the Red Cross volunteers on the island, learned that there is a possibility of getting access to some of the Red Cross cots that are here on the island. So he and I, he is reaching out to the regional manager to find out whether or not we can actually use those to save us the added cost of having to buy beds that are already on the island. Hopefully that comes back with something positive. But that's kind of all I have for that update. We just finished the local cultural council grant cycle and chose the awardees. They've all been notified. And we have a meeting of that group this afternoon. And then I'm starting I just found out how much I'm getting for the cultural district grant, which is $15,000. So I'm going to start that grant cycle on open it on the 28th of January and have it run throughout the month of February. And hopefully have awardees selected by the first week of March. So if you know of anyone, any cultural organizations or any groups that aren't necessarily nonprofits that are working on any cultural programming that are looking for funding, please feel free to send them my way. That's what I have. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I have a question. How does that grant sort of application process get out to the public?
So I'll do a press release that'll go out in the next few weeks. And what happened with the Cultural Council one was it went out in Daybreak and The Current.
Yes.
And they would send emails to people who have applied in the past, just to let them know that it's open in the event that they hadn't seen those news briefs. I'll also share it with the chamber so that it goes in their newsletter as well. And then it's a really basic application process. It's about, write a paragraph or two about what you're the program you're interested in planning. From what I've seen from previous years, it's about a one-page application, really simple.
But it could help a lot of, organizations that are underfunded right now. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, Visitor Services Coordinator report, David.
Okay. All right. So the end of the year, as you can see, since we didn't meet in December, I wanted to include the November stats. Pretty much self-explanatory. And then with December, we had 482 visitors through the month, but the bulk of that was during Stroll at the beginning of the month. The 4 days up to Stroll was a total of 345 people. And then I included our yearly stats for the last 25 years, 26 years. And we're getting back up. Things are kind of recovering, as you can tell. We had 34,682 people come through the 3 locations that we helped this year. And there's also a breakdown of telephone calls, travel lodging brochure mailings, and placements. We are still having issues with trying to track down the downloads because the town has switched to a new tracking software, and I hopefully should have an answer to you guys by next month. I do want to point out something with the T&L mailings for the year, that there were 336 mailed out from here. That's up from 277 from the year before. And it was really the best we've had in about 7 or 8 years, since 2015. So that's that's what's going on with the stats, and we're already getting requests for 2023 travel and lodging brochures. The T&L will be out by mid to late February. We're going through revisions right now. It's kind of like herding cats with trying to get all the inns to reply and finish, update. But with the last 3 years, not including the rates, because that was always the contentious issue. A lot of the inns have declined to do any changes to their listing, but it's not going to be the only real change in the lodging will be the veranda house being taken out because of the fire. Other than that, all the other inns are still in there. And so, as I said, it will be out by the end of mid to late February, and I've already got like at least 10 requests to mail those out, and I'm usually start getting a lot of requests about that this time of year. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we are now in our winter hours here at the Visitor Center. We're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We are closed Saturday, Sunday, and holidays. So the next holiday coming up, which is Martin Luther King weekend, this weekend, will be closed on Monday, but every Friday afternoon, I put a few items into the drop box that's outside the door, such as the open restaurant list and some pocket maps and a few other things. So, and I checked that over the weekend, so it's not going to be empty if I come in, if I come back on Monday, because what I mean is if somebody stops by, it's always going to be filled. So, and then, that's really all I have at this point. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Anyone have any questions for David? I think Liz, go ahead.
I just wanted to see how the list of actual phone numbers is coming for contacts for all the hotels and guest houses. Has Mark Anthony, has he been able to get back at all to you about that?
I have not heard from Mark Anthony, but the phone numbers that we have, at least in the brochure, are like the public numbers, so that it's not like it's like somebody's back end number that's private, but that's something we should consider and keep track of.
I think it's curious to notice on the foot traffic that were several thousand more on Federal Street. I think that's indication that we all knew there were lots of people in town last year.
Yeah.
So, 22,700 as opposed to 19 something the year before.
Yeah, and I also want to point out that why the number is down at Straight Wharf is that we had several days a week that there was no one there because we didn't have the personnel. So if there were somebody there 7 days a week, I would think we would be at least around the same as last year, if not more. That's just an anomaly. So I would at least consider another 1,000 in our annual figure.
I think we all know it was a busy summer.
And one other thing too is the airport number. I didn't include that Monday, the August 14th, when we had over 1,000 people in line trying to kind of get between arrivals and departures, because there were like 7 planes coming in and 6 going out. So it was just kind of like one of those anomalies. So just, you could also consider that too, but it was just really not an official figure.
David, can you refresh my memory on that? Was that based on weather and scheduling? Not
It
necessarily.
was like right after Boston Pops, and everybody decided to leave on Monday instead of Sunday. And so the way the airport is set up, you've got the TSA walkway area, which is a very narrow hall. And there were 7 planes scheduled to go out and 6 planes coming in. So all the people lined up trying to get through TSA, and most of those planes going out were leaving roughly at the same time. So people start, you got maybe 100 people per plane. So you had 700 people, waiting to get checked through and go onto the planes, and then another 6 planes coming in. And those people have to go through that area. So the line for the TSA was going through the hall into the baggage arrival and then out the side door onto the street. And then you get the people trying to come through from the other side of the building, of that area, and they're all like trying to collect their luggage at the bays there. So it's very chaotic.
Okay, but that just seemed to have only been a backup that one day, correct?
Yeah, and
It's not like it is.
I think what we're going to do is make sure that somebody is, if we have to, schedule 2 people on Mondays in August. And even possibly Sunday morning in August too, because there's just so many planes going to New York, to Washington, Philly, Chicago and all that now. So they're not using the Cape Air taxi area as much as they used to.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes,
Since Tom he's not completely out of the picture, Tom Rafter, since he's going to be, retiring, and he's still affiliated and everything, would it make sense to have a meeting with Noah, have Noah come in and maybe we can ask him some questions about, if there's, I know we had talked about the presence at the airport, but just to see if there was going to be any room, maybe in the budget, to have another person there for, during certain times of the summer, and just how he is planning on trying to, if that situation comes up again, how can if he has any plans about doing that better, I guess.
I think we are planning to invite Noah to a meeting before the summer begins, but the budget isn't an issue. It's just staffing. It's just trying to get enough people. I could have used 1 or 2 people last year, 2 more people, but hopefully I can get more people this year, and we're going to try, finding other ways of recruiting people.
I have someone in mind, so.
Okay. We'll talk.
I might also add, Madam Chair, we had an end of summer wrap-up meeting with Tom and Noah that we discussed possibly increasing the budget to ensure that we could have additional folks whenever necessary. Happy to have him come in, and talk to you guys about it, but we did have that conversation.
yeah, I think that would be important. Obviously, transportation were the people we listed that we wanted to have sort of a face-to-face with. I know in the minutes we talked about that I was going to, talk to both Shanta and David about setting up some of these schedules. Because of the December meeting, it didn't happen. So I think we still have some work to do on that. Anything else, David?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay. Liz, stranded passenger plan update. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
That's it. I just got a question, just talking about staffing. I was just curious because I don't think we were talking about before. What the process with that? Is it all just hired employees, or do you guys take volunteers as well for staffing?
Now, we have to have paid employees, and they have to go through a orientation session with the town HR office. And they have to abide by certain, they have to go through certain guidelines and paperwork and so forth. So it's just trying to get the right people, because there are other organizations and businesses on the island that are looking for the same people and roughly the same, hourly rate. So we're competing with other places, and now with the, hopefully with the increase in the H-2B that funding, maybe that will free up some people to come to us. So it's it's not a volunteer thing. It's a paid, hour by the hour.
Okay, is it possible to look at that and see? Because I don't, like, my dad used to do the ski host program up in Whistler, and I know it's a different country and stuff, but I mean, I know a lot of the ski mountains and stuff will have ski hosts, and usually they just get like a free lift ticket for the year or something.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible, because we're a municipal department, and I can't offer free stuff beyond a certain amount of value. The other thing is that we would also be using something like the tax write-off program that the town offers. So that's something I'm going to be looking into. We had a few people a few years ago who were on that. So they're, then they work off their taxes with us. And then once that they're paid their dues, so to speak, then we have to pay them.
Yeah, I think, David, that's a good way to go, because there may be some people, that obviously know the island well in terms of having been here and just, normal questions. And, tax bills are going up. So that's a fact of life. And I know a few years ago when the program started, there were some wonderful people that came and helped in a lot of the town offices. So, and even if it's a part-time person,
Yeah.
just to, I would definitely wish you luck in pursuing that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else for David? Okay, next on the agenda, stranded passenger plan update. Liz, we're all sitting here waiting because none of us like to see bad press after Stroll. It's kind of, sends shivers down. What did we do wrong? And obviously there was a fair amount of, discussion. So thank you for continuing to work on this. Go ahead.
More than welcome. I do have to say there should be a little bit of shared responsibility with our passengers, however. That
Yes.
was one of the things that we also recognize. I'm not sure how we'll quite get that out to the public, but as Chantal said, we, having that situation, Stroll Saturday, definitely clarified the holes and where the things that we didn't think about. And so in the meeting the following Tuesday, which had been planned a couple weeks before Stroll, for some reason we had a lot more people than we would have normally under the circumstances who had answered that they were going to attend, which was awesome. It was a great discussion. The Steamship Authority actually had 3 representatives there, which I was very happy to see, because it had been, I think that they realized the situation. And anyway, it was a wonderful group of people, and everybody, there was free-flowing conversation. Communication really was one of the main topics, and how not only the visitor center could have the information about how to contact and find out what's available, but that there would be a list of names and phone numbers in an event like that, so we could get in touch with people. There's also was talk about whether there is some way of, with using technology, communicate and be able to broadcast and pull everybody in that needs to be pulled in. And actually, I had a good, speaking of Tom, had a good conversation with Tom the other day, and he brought up this thing that it's called Virtual Emergency Operations Center. And I think that I'm not sure if they are using it but they're thinking about using it, maybe even at the airport. But it's veoci.com. So that it's kind of like a new age phone tree. Okay. And then at the end of this month, I'll be happily getting out of here and go swimming in warm waters. And a friend of mine down in Puerto Rico named Paul Lutton has just come up with another form of this. So to keep track of not only supplies like cots and things like that, but also people, so that it would be another broad way of communicating to everybody and pulling everybody in, so that it's not like the police going door to door, to the hotels and to the guest houses. And it's not like, Chantal and I, calling and being in touch with the police and whatever. It's just a more organized way of letting everybody know, like an alert system kind of. That's one of the other things that we've talked about at the meeting. And we're going to hopefully have a meeting this month again. And I've added more, more people from the airport. And also Nantucket Inn has come on board, and they're interested in helping out. So we're still in the gathering process of all these little tidbits. One of the things that we talked about at the meeting was that we should have some sort of a held harmless or a release, because the places that are volunteering, having people stay overnight, hopefully it's just one night. They're not normal places that people would be staying at. So they don't have the insurance that would cover having guests stay. So I've been working on that, and I kind of ended up on a little bit of a dead end, but but we'll get there with that, because the people that are gracious enough to offer really should have some sort of protection. Not that it really means that, they wouldn't be sued or whatever, but you could always have the piece of paper that the people signed agreeing to the terms of being able to stay wherever, for this purpose to help them out. So that's kind of where we are. And Chantal's been doing a lot of, behind the scenes stuff. And as I said, she said actually, is that the whole thing with the Red Cross cots, that would be a huge help, because not only are they already here, but they're also organized nicely so that it wouldn't be like one cot at a time. They have them on, I don't know if it's, I'm not sure how it is organized, but it's like a uniform thing that, we could move many at the same time. So anyway, so we're still, going along, and I have high hopes that we'll have something in place by, hopefully May. We'll see how it goes. That means we have to sneak by Daffodil without any issues. But and that's kind of where we are. Any questions?
I just want to say thank you for your work on this. I mean, this is a lot of coordination with a lot of various offices and people, and I think from what my takeaway on Stroll was communication. That seemed to be the biggest issue. No one tell people, you call different people and they don't know anything. So, I mean, I think you're right on with some sort of communication. People just want to know, guidance. They just want guidance and, where to go. You may not know the answer, but get back to them, that kind of. So I think that's critical in this planning, and then having the different agencies and transportation hubs know that it's available. I mean, I think once this plan gets in place, it's going to be important to make a presentation to whoever, whether it's the select board meeting or, whether it's, inviting people to one of our meetings with the players that you've assembled. So I think, everyone knows who to contact. I think that's critical. And just having, the right answer. So I thank you, Liz. And any way we can help, we're here to help.
Well, I think probably there will be opportunity to do that.
Yes, I'm sure.
I think one of the other important things, talking about getting people together and getting everybody on the same page, is everyone that is in, like Highline and Steamship and everybody at the airport, is that I think we also realize is that there is a certain responsibility to let people know about bad weather coming. You know what I'm saying? And let all the people on the manifest know that we are, and we're happy to have you come, but we are anticipating a potential problem here so that you're aware,
Yeah.
and I think thankfully Highline did a great job with that this time. And, we didn't have that much, there wasn't much pushback because of it. And just have, it's the communication is key all
Yeah.
around.
And I think, the steamship sends out their alerts usually ahead about weather as well. But if you're not in their profile and you haven't come here before, you don't get those alerts necessarily. So I think that's the gap a little bit. And then we all have seen weather that we were warned about that didn't happen. So I think people get complacent at times to say, yeah, well, last year they said it, but everything was fine. So I think communication, that's my word of the month. It's like, that's the key. So, yeah, Matt.
Yeah, I have a quick question, Liz. What was the discussion behind the kind of communication form, I guess? Was it like a text message like the steamships use? Or email blasts or what? I mean, has the town ever thought about like some sort of a text messaging, mass text message, watch out for weather, any kind of updates in the town, closed roads, that kind of thing?
Well, the town doesn't have phone numbers of people coming over on the ferries, so we don't have any way of contacting passengers once they're here. However,
We do though.
I took notes, so I have the communications plan here. So, Liz, I hope you don't mind if I answer that question.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, so we started out with going back 24 hours prior to the weather related issues were supposed to come up. So we have a message alert that says due to forecasted strong winds, service interruptions are possible, please plan accordingly. And then it gives the phone number to call whoever, whether it's JetBlue, Cape Air, Highline, Steamship, and it says to call them to cancel, change, or have your trip refunded. So people don't have to worry about not, because they have to, I think a lot of the times it's just getting a credit for their next travel. But if it's people coming one time for one weekend, what are they going to do with that credit? So that refund piece is key to encourage people to not come, so we don't end up with 200 plus people stuck on the island. And then we would continue to repeat that the day of, send that again so that people know it's going to be there's going to be an alert on each of the travel websites, as well as on the Culture and Tourism Department's website, and hopefully on the Chamber's website as well, because they deal with a lot of visitors to the island. We would also do ads in Daybreak and The Current, as well as asking the Chamber to send out an e-blast to let people know that there's likely weather coming, so plan accordingly for these big weekends. We're kind of piggybacking on the Chamber because we recognize that Daffodil Festival and Christmas Stroll are both planned by the Chamber. So people are already going to them for information about those weekends. So it's best to have clear communication with them as well. There's going to be posted signs in both ticket offices, Highline and Steamship, on and off the island. We're trying to tackle it every which way we can so that people can't say they did not know. And then once that's the communication to the passengers have been made, Highline and Steamship both have the ability to text their manifests as well, letting them know. So it's not just the email communication, but it's also going directly to their cell phones via text. We're also going to do, once that's sorted out, the first phone call, they're here, they didn't heed the warning, we have stranded passengers, hotels are fully booked. What do we do? First call is to the police department, sharing the information about what accommodations are available. And we also have an emergency action plan that they will know about. So when people call, you will meet at XYZ location that's still being finalized. It will likely be a church in town just to make it easier on passengers who congregate at Steamship and Highline. One of the issues we found was that Steamship closed their office, and then those people had nowhere to shelter while they figured out their accommodations. So we're offering them a location to gather. We'll then assess how many people we actually have. That was also another issue that we had where we didn't know the exact number, because people just kind of scattered or went to the bars when they found out that the ferries were canceled, instead of reaching out to us and then after midnight, then trying to contact us when we thought we had the situation under control. So we're from these channels sending them to a church or worship center. We'll have volunteers, and likely myself and David and Liz.
St. Paul's, actually, Max has offered St. Paul's for
Okay.
downtown location.
Perfect.
So we're solid with that.
Awesome. I wasn't sure if it was confirmed, so I didn't want to throw it out there and then have an egg on my face later on. Thank you. So yeah, so we'll meet at St. Paul's. We'll have a host of volunteers there, just gathering names, assessing needs, and then we'll also have transportation sorted with Nantucket Island Tours, and Kenny over at Cranberry Transportation also offered, but we know that he tends to be a little busy, so we'll see how that works out depending on if this situation ever actually happens. And then from there, we'll transport them to the Westmore Club and wherever else they need to get to. I know Vios, I know you had conversations with him about possibly using his bus as well.
Yeah, actually, I had a long conversation with Mark Manchester. And so he's going to hopefully be able to attend our meeting in January. And, he's willing to help however they can.
Awesome.
So they've got the vans, and they may even have, they do often bail out the airport. If, they have their the flights that are delayed, and then at 1 a.m. they're canceled. So they've been a big help to everyone at the airport, but that's never been big numbers of people. But anyway, so he's happy to be involved in helping.
Mhm.
Hey, Peter,
I'm intrigued about to learn more about this virtual network, VEOOCI, not as something that we would necessarily want to adopt, but
No.
to look at the architecture of it and say, what parts of this could we replicate with what we have at different places. And a key observation, I think, is when we look back on what happened in the stranded passenger incident we're talking about, I stumbled into, just by accident, seeing that there were a number of people who were mobilized. I mean, a number of participants who were mobilized via our local Facebook page for Nantucketers. I'm not sure which one it was, but it's the big one where there's a lot of traffic going back and forth. And that was a source of many people volunteering their homes. And I see that as perhaps an indication that this is more than something that we ought to be talking to town people and the High Line and everything else. There's a huge potential out there that is the analog of what the fire department has in terms of volunteer firefighters. We don't have very many of them anymore, but they kind of put out the call, and whoever can do it does it. And it doesn't mean that you're obliged to do it, but having in place the things like hold harmless and a plan, I think that's a productive direction to think, to engage what you really need, which is a huge resilience, shock absorber, where you might be able to recruit 50 or 100 people who will according to a pre-planned protocol, open their homes in an emergency to someone who needs a place to stay at 11 o'clock at night. So I don't know how to make this work, but I think it would be worth looking at the architecture of this existing thing and seeing what it might suggest for us to do, because this is not something that we can handle in the extreme on the town, no matter how much we put together. The police are strained, there just isn't the resilience. There has to be a shock absorber that comes from the community.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, and I think it all goes back to having a plan in place and communication, and people need to know who to call, and they just want answers and guidance. So I think to be able to roll out something concrete by the summer, I think would be a plan of this committee, thanks to Liz and Chantal and David working on all this. And as I said, we're all willing to help. Just so we have good press, not contradictory press. I mean, we're all trying to do this. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I'm just kind of brainstorming here, but you guys remember like a year ago when we got the hurricane, or not hurricane, but the what was it, a tornado warning? On your iPhone, and it beeps and goes off, and all at the same time. I'm just curious, just kind of brainstorming. I don't know if it's something like that when we know that the boats are all canceled for both services for the rest of the day. I don't know if the town can do some sort of like weather warning or something like that, just to automatic hit everybody's phone on the island. I don't know if that was looked at or discussed. I don't know legalities with something like that, but it's something maybe worth looking into as well.
We did talk about that actually at the meeting. And so a lot of things were touched on, and that was definitely one of them. But of course, you get in, things are never as simple as available as we would hope sometimes. So but those are the different things that we'll be looking at, as well as this, which Tom brought up, which I haven't even had a chance to look at this at all. But it was something that he had brought up. But I think Peter's idea of looking at it and kind of seeing how it's set up, and I'll have my conversation with Paul as well, Paul Lutton, and see if there's something that we can, maybe take pieces and put together, or utilize, the emergency alert thing. I'm not sure what, everything comes with rules, so we'll have to find out what the actual rules are for some of these things. But
Liz, can I have the name of that site again? I didn't copy it down.
it's veoci.com,
Okay,
and it's basically a virtual emergency operations center program.
perfect. Well, thank you for your hard work. I think it's moving in the right direction.
I don't have crossword puzzles. I have a bigger puzzle to deal with.
It's winter. We all do puzzles.
Right.
All right. Anything else that we need
I
to
just
talk
think,
about? Go ahead, Peter.
One more, final statement. As this effort unfolds and evolves, and we come up with ideas, the Nantucket Civic League, of which I'm a co-president, would be the natural, partner to engage with in terms of the one thing we can do, which is we can communicate to 2,000 plus neighborhood association members. And it might be that only 1% of them would be interested in getting involved, but 1% of 2,000, is at least 20, if I did the math right. And I think, there's a way to build off of the Facebook idea that, there are people out there who would be willing to step forward in an emergency for one night if there's a hold harmless type clause.
Yeah. Agreed. We've done it before. A long time ago, but in the early 80s, there was lots of people stranded here. So, Anything else for the committee while we're all on board? Okay, then next meeting would be February 14th. Does that sound right?
Yes,
Okay, February 14th. Hopefully I'll have a chance to meet with David and Chantal by then, and we'll come up with some suggestions for speakers. Obviously, the stranded passenger plan is still going to, continue and be added to probably every month. Peter?
Just for the record, for next meeting's agenda, I wanted to say that the Civic League, of which I'm a co-president, would like to include an item for discussion via me, which pertains to a proposal to the Visitor Services Advisory Committee to partner with us in disseminating a future series of guidelines that we are developing at the neighborhood level for, proper behavior for people who are renting in our neighborhood. And the ask will be simply, over a period of probably the next year, we hope to develop some neighborhood, write-ups, and we are simply hoping that Visitor Services would be agreeable to posting them online for whoever wants to refer to them. That would include people who are renting in a neighborhood, and also, I guess it would include, the real estate industry, to say, if you're renting in this neighborhood, here's what the expectations are. So it's just a matter of, would you post it online for us? And I'll explain it
Yeah,
next.
let's Chantal and David, let's put a line item on the agenda for February. And Peter, if you've got anything you want to give to them in advance,
Will
that
do.
we could include in the packet, that would be helpful.
It'll be about a 2-minute discussion, once you've seen it.
Perfect. All right, anything else? I want to thank you all for being here. It's January, there's no snow. February could be a different month, but we may still want to do Zoom then, because people may be traveling too. And continue discussion of our in-person. David?
yeah, that option about using the trailer at the old fire station is, if they want to have that option for us to meet, but I'll have to look into that, with short notice like this to see if we can schedule. Otherwise, I think maybe not till March, but I could check on that.
Okay, let us know by next month what we're supposed to do. I do think this time of the year, it's a lot easier to do Zoom and invite people in.
Yeah.
Because even if someone's traveling, you have a better chance they can participate for an hour. So, okay. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second by Peter.
Okay, all in favor? I don't think I need a roll call for this. Thank you very much. Put on your calendar, Valentine's Day. We'll meet early in the morning, February 14th.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.